Good evening, everyone. Brad, please unmute yourself and stuff. So, guys, good evening. My name is Dr. Silverman. I am here in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. I practice surgical pathology, meaning, as you see, I'm in my office, at home office. Yeah, this is a very close part of my family. So I'm a very, very proud pathologist. Uh-oh. Who is sharing the screen now?
I don't know.
Can you please get out of the screen? Sorry.
Where'd that go?
Somebody needs to...
Looks like it's Tom Holland's screen is being shared.
Tom Holland's screen is shared. Please don't do this.
Where'd they go?
Anyway, Tom Holland, please unshare the screen. Yeah, Tom Holland, please unshare the screen. And please mute yourself as well. This is awesome. I lost my train of, thank you very much. I lost my train of thoughts. So, and now I lost everyone.
We're good. You were just got ready to tell us about your
about how excited I am. So,
you know what?
That's correct. That's correct, Brad. Today, I'm not only that, today I'm specifically excited, but I'm a very excited conventional doctor. I am a surgical pathologist who diagnosed, the majority of my practice evolves around breast cancer. So my excitement with LifeVantage is basically about the lifestyle and about this. And that's what we're going to talk about, why these. Now, but the thing today, I'm very excited because, and pardon my language, today I scored a very, very big fish. And that big fish is Dr. Brad Brimhall. Dr. Brad Brimhall is very, very, very busy. He is one of the most prominent chiropractors in Arizona. I believe Brad is a third generation of chiropractors and with very, very successful practice. Brad will tell you the story. However, I may tap a little bit into his story because I know Brad before he became such a prominent LifeVantager. He's one of the most successful LifeVantage distributors. He reached the elite rank, not losing his humanity and his kindness and his care for people. And I will never forget the story of Brad Brimhall, how excited he got when one of his patients improved dramatically with him not knowing why, and discovering one of the products that LifeVantage brings actually brought that improvement. So Brad Brimhall jumped on the plane with a broken leg at that time to meet the creator and the founder of Axio, one of the brain rings that Brad is going to talk about. So let's jump right in. Guys, please mute yourself. So, you know what? And it's interesting, Brad, would you like to talk to us a little bit about biohacking and hijacking?
Yeah, absolutely, I would. And actually, so Sveta, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure getting to know you and many people in LifeVantage. And I remember flying in the airplane. I hadn't broken my leg yet. That actually happened a couple of weeks later. But I think I kind of had a few other things broken at that time. And just, I was broken down a little bit to where I saw what I saw because I was working with somebody that I wasn't getting results with. And so I have taught for the last 25 years now almost to healthcare providers mostly, and then done lay lectures for patients for that period.
Oh, Brad, please unmute yourself.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, awesome.
Okay. So I remember we were kind of touching on this book earlier. We were talking about this book, Tired or Toxic by Sherry Rogers. She's a medical doctor, and she talked about this concept of toxicity and how big of a problem it was. I remember being in Mexico reading this book, where it was really nice, but I was feeling depressed. And I was thinking about all these people I had treated for years and how hard they were to get well sometimes because of the environment we lived in. And just to summarize what biohacking is, guys, and hijacking, it's this. From personal experience, so we all have a genetic potential that we might reach. And partially that is determined by what we do with the knowledge you'll gain tonight. So to make it real, my mom, I love her to death. She passed away in her early 60s. Her mom lived in 97. Her dad lived to 93. So how does somebody pass away in their 60s from a cancer that's not supposed to show up unless they're in smokers, and not till you're like 80, did it show up in her 60s, right? With genetic potential like she had. It's because her genes and her genetic potential was hijacked due to environmental exposure she had when she was a kid. So what happens, our environment that we're around, both what we know and what we don't know, it's either allowing your genes to express life or your genes to actually degrade and not express life. So that's called hijacking. And hijacking happens in every single one of us. It's happening right now, whether you know it or not. What Sveta, Dr. Sveta and I are going to talk about tonight is how do you, no matter who you are, find the simple tools to be able to get back in there and biohack and optimize your genetic potential. And that's what this is all about. It's making it simple, making it real. Because a lot of things that are hijacking you don't know about. My mom had no idea in her early years or adolescence was she having exposure to really waste that damaged her genes, but because she had no idea. So of course she didn't know what she should do to change it. Well, we now not only know that happens, but we now know there's things that we can do about it.
That is awesome. I entirely agree with you. That's the interesting thing is our genome is about 20,000 genes. And only 1.5 to 2% of them are unchangeable, or what is called coded. 98 to 98.5% of our genes are for grabs, and that's exactly what you always say. It's up to me whether I want to biohack my genes positively, or I will let the toxicities, the environment, the stress to hijack my genes. So what is oxidative stress, Brad, and why are we talking NRF2 and this guy?
I love to explain oxidative stress like this. Who wants to age really fast? Anybody? Right? Nobody ever takes me up on that offer, unless it's like a young girl that wants to be an older teenager right away. None of us want to age fast, but it's not so much the chronological age. Oxidative stress is this. It's a theory and a practicality of how we age. So the more rust we have, the more oxidative stress we have, the faster we age. How we experience that is different for individuals based upon what tissue it's affecting most and which one's breaking down. So in our heart area, our cardiovascular system, if we're having oxidative stress or rapid aging there, people have things and problems that relate to cardiac problems, right? Whether that's heart failure, heart attacks, or we're having, if it's someone when they're having their appearance, their skin looks like it's getting older, those age spots, the wrinkles. If it's your intestinal tract, it's going to look different. In your eyes, you're not going to be able to see as well. Every single one of us has oxidative stress happening right now, and what causes that is any stress, whether that's chemical stress that we're not used to, or radiation stress from sunlight and x-rays, or emotional stress, right? Dealing with humans, right? Dealing with kids, dealing with governments, right? Dealing with whatever it is that's stressful. That speeds up the aging process. And so we know that the body cells, every cell ages. So whatever cell is aging will give you the symptoms that you have. And your body's always trying to repair. It's when it gets an imbalance between the breakdown and the repair where we start having symptoms. And here's the bad part. When symptoms show up, it's already way advanced, right? Because your body's always fixing things. It's when we can't keep up is when we start feeling bad. And so oxidative stress is around every single one of us. So there's this regulatory system in our cells that help respond to that stress, and that's called NRF2. It's the genetic switch that I love that you said, Sveta, is up for grabs, right? So we can do things about it if we understand what the switch is and then how to activate that switch. Because some of the environmental exposure we can't control. We can control what we can, but we can influence that switch if we understand what tools we have.
So talk to us, please, about NRF2 and NRF2 protandum and why NRF2 protandum in my books is an absolute must, like must.
You know, I'm going to share you kind of a personal story, and it blows my mind because this just happened today. I had a patient come in and that I've worked with, and I put her on a NRF2 protandem, and someone had recommended that she take a turmeric with black pepper extract, right? Because it's also a NRF2 activator.
Correct.
So, and yes, it is a NRF2 activator. Black pepper extracts, ashwagandha, bacopa, milk, that's all these are NRF2 activators. And so I was that doctor before, where someone would come in with something, I'd look at it and say, well, those ingredients don't look like anything special, right? I didn't know what it was. And so I'd say, well, this might be a better option, not knowing. But it's because I was guessing. So I was actually working for a company that made a product called NRF2 activator. Okay, so this product was developed by a physician that used to be a part of LifeVantage, right? So when you read his book, right, called The Grain Break, in his book, he talks about NRF2 activation and how big a deal it is. And he lists 6 herbs that activate NRF2, guys. Guess what those 6 are?
5 of ours and
5 of ours plus broccoli seed extract. All right, so here's what I've learned. I was using those other products before, and yes, they're NRF2 activators, but it does matter how you put things together and the synergistic effect, right? And it not only matters, it's key. So every single one of us can go to the store and buy all the different ingredients and put them together, and we can hope that it tastes like grandma's bread. But the reality is we don't have to guess, because they've done the studies to look, if we combine ashwagandha, milk thistle, bacopa, green tea in the right ratios, we have an 18-fold effect. And we don't have to guess about the recipe. All we have to do is take the pill. So I remember when I saw what I saw in Carrie's son, and I saw him have that master list, my mind began to open that maybe there's something that I didn't know. Imagine that.
Let me stop you. Let me stop you for a second. Please tell us about, because people don't know Carrie and Carrie's son. What happened with Carrie's son?
So now we're not saying we cure, treat, or prevent anything, but we sure really work hard at helping people live more full life. Right, so Carrie Williams, who some of you guys, some of you don't know, she referred to me by another clinician I'd helped train years ago, and she came to me because she would drive an hour from North Phoenix over to my office every week for a year to help her son who was diagnosed with autism at 2. I started seeing him when he was just over 3, and we were seeing him, and plus he was doing 35 hours of therapy a week. So he was making small incremental improvements, which is what we typically see, but very slow. And then Axio came out, the NRF2 activator for brain, which we'll talk on here in a second. And literally in an 11-day time period from the time he started to the time that I saw, he had a 50% improvement in his behavior and his ability to retain and remember information. So that opened me up to saying, well, this is one of those stories you hear, they don't really happen, right? But I saw it happen from my, I remember, fighting tooth and nail, and I was doing a ton of work with her and her son, and seeing that massive shift, I knew something was different. So when I saw that and I got exposed to protandem NRF2, I started putting it in my patients' lives. And research is really cool. I love that. But I've read research and tried to apply it to people, and it didn't work as the same as the research said. What I saw in NRF2 activation is putting into people's life, one in particular I've been working with for over 15 years from a neurological problem. And guys, she had a max of 2.5 hours of good functioning energy a day. She was a substitute teacher at this point because she knew I could work full time and then go home and rest and do a little thing on and off to help take care of her autistic daughter. I was at a meeting last week with her at 8:30 at night. She shared her story, stood up, shared it, and she said something really profound to me. She said, what I found out when I had a flare-up, my quality of life went from here, and it went down every time with a flare-up. And I just have to adjust my quality of life. And she was happy that she was able to take care of herself because she had to be in a care facility for a while because she got so bad. And we got her back to that functioning state. 3.5 years now of on protandem, she said, my health is going like this. So what we thought was her normal, like her body is repairing. I remember one time she came in and says, like, I'm back driving again at night, where she wasn't for a while. First couple of meetings she came to, she had somebody to drive her because she just couldn't see well enough to drive. And I remember telling me, she's driving at night, I said, I don't think that's supposed to happen. Right? Like from what I know with science, I'm like, that's not supposed to happen. But I said, I guess your body doesn't care about science. All I can tell you is that when that Protandim Nerf 2 and the Nerf 1 that she started taking and the Axio started going together in the ProBio, that vitality stack, her health now is going like this. And I don't know where it's going to go. So those genes, that 98%, I think you said, that we have influence over are doing different things. So her oxidative stress is dropping, her mitochondrial function is improving, and her body is going like this. And here the lady was already, doing everything, gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free, sugar-free, fun-free, I call it. And yet that was her quality of life, and she was happy, but now she's ecstatic where she saves over $5,000 a year on medical expenses because she's taking less supplements, and she's seeing me way less, but it's because of NRF2 activation Protandim that had that effect.
How does NRF2 activation changes the cells? What is the mechanism?
Yeah, so here's what's cool about our science, this nutrigenomics, this biohacking concept, and there's the study, right? So we know that there's these mechanisms inside the cell. If we can activate them, then your body can repair in ways that it wasn't before. So there's a switch called NRF2. It's a switch on your cell. When it's turned on, it regulates your body's ability to detoxify, control antioxidants, inflammation, and protect the cell, which relates to hundreds of illnesses. Oxidative stress does, inflammation. So what Washington State say, what this quote says, we meet with the new literature of the health effects of NRF2, which may well become the most extraordinary therapeutic and most extraordinary preventative breakthrough in the history of medicine. Like when I think that, every time I hear that, I read that, I'm like, okay, they're talking about being both therapeutic, which we think in therapy as treatment, right? And preventative as just what we all want, is never know what we didn't get. So if we activate NRF2, guide, we have the potential of reducing oxidative stress on average of 40% in 30 days. And as the body repairs, it's able to have reserves to repair other things. So it's going to repair what it has to first, what it wants to second. And like the study that related to a medication, so there's other things out there that activate NRF2. Guess what exercise does? Calorie restriction activates it too, but not the potential that NRF2 Protandim does. And I've always found it interesting that it's easy for people to take a supplement versus get them to exercise. So to me, I want people exercising, I want people changing their lifestyle, but why wouldn't I use a tool to help me do things that maybe a person's not willing to do yet? And so this study is the one that really caught my eye as to why I recommend that patient take it. And to see where she is today, and I'll share a story later about a little boy that she helped part of inviting and the changes he's seen in just the last 2 weeks.
Dr. Brimhall, let me ask you a question. We're talking somewhat in the neurodegenerative disorders category, and I know there's an absolutely direct link between oxidative stress and Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease. Anything in regards to nervous system and some microbial components? For example, if we talk oxidative stress and, let's say, Lyme disease.
Yeah. So here's what's interesting is that there are things that cause damage to cells. And one of those being is like Lyme's disease or the spirochete, right? And some microbes have a specific affinity for certain tissues, right? So Lyme's disease loves to attack the nervous system, right? So what I love about Protandim is that you get a chance to affect the actual protein that controls oxidative stress in all cells. So it doesn't matter if it's a nervous system problem, a cardiovascular problem, a blood sugar problem, you're affecting oxidative stress globally, right? Even though the main symptom somebody has is a specific one. And I always tell people, look, give it time to do its magic, because it's doing its magic right now. It's just, you may have so much stuff going on, you may not feel a difference at the beginning. And when it's a neurological based thing, we have to give it that time. We used to think somebody with a stroke, that's a good, they wouldn't improve. We know that's not true now. We know that people can and will improve based upon what you do and what you believe you can do. And
that's incredible.
So,
I so agree what you just said, that what you just told us, that this is a global manifestation. Every cell has this NRF2 protein. So when you introduce the proper NRF2 activator, every cell is going to get upregulated the right way. And so obviously, you don't feel like your cell is upregulated, but your cell does, because you cannot beat the biochemical pathways. Now, the interesting thing is about this slide, this is to the category why I always say that this 1 and 2 go hand in hand. Because look, this is one of my latest research. I stumbled upon the paper, and you see the combination of oxidative stress and mitochondrial dysfunction, and again, the major disease categories. So now let's get to the second part, which is called NRF1 per tandem. So, I entirely agree with Dr. Brimhall that the most important part of our health is we need to cleanse our cells. We need to maintain our cells free of cellular garbage. Here comes NRF2 activator. This is our boost. This is the boost of our cellular vacuum cleaners. Now, there is one of the most important cellular organelle that is called mitochondria. Why mitochondria is so important? Because mitochondria is our powerhouses. That's the organelle that literally gives us energy. And as Brad said, who wants to age faster? Nobody. Well, guess what? Mitochondria is entirely dysfunctional mitochondria, or not enough mitochondria, is directly linked to aging. But also, as I mentioned previously, it links to a decrease of energy. But on top of this, the very important part, we were just talking that we can control our genes. Well, guess what? Mitochondria also controls our genes. So you choose whether you want bad mitochondria to control your genes or the good mitochondria to control your genes. Now, why are we advocating NRF1 per tandem and NRF2 per tandem together? Because mitochondria is that organelle that is like a canary in a coal mine. It is extremely vulnerable to cellular stress or free radical damage. But on top of this, mitochondria is that organelle that makes most free radicals in the cell. And the interesting part is healthy mitochondria has that mechanism of antioxidants to clean it. But dysfunctional or aging mitochondria doesn't. And every chronic disease has a dysfunctional mitochondria. Every cancer has a dysfunctional mitochondria. So it's like a vicious circle. Free radical damage in the cell causes mitochondrial dysfunction. But mitochondrial dysfunction contributes to the free radical damage. How do we break that circle? We break that circle twofold. A, we do this. We give NRF2 per tandem, which cleans the cells and releases that mitochondrial burden. So mitochondrial can get back to health again. Now, we age via decreasing the number of mitochondria in the cells. Can we bring it back to higher numbers? Absolutely. Again, it's a no-fun diet. It's a calorie restriction diet, and you need to hit the gym. It's a regular exercise. Now, how else can we bring the numbers of new and vibrant mitochondria? Via turning on the mitochondrial genes. Here comes this guy, which is called NRF1 activator. NRF1 per tandem turns on the NRF1 protein, which activates mitochondrial genes. And then we make new mitochondria. Now, the amazing stuff about new and healthy mitochondria is that they actually can repair the old one. Now, look at the composition of the NRF1 precandum. And what strikes us about LifeVantage, it's the same pattern. It's a pattern of synergy. Those 5 very simple ingredients, again, are concocted on a virtue of togetherness, of synergy. So this is what is all amazing. So again, I preach both NRF1 precandum and NRF2 precandum. Look at this slide. 50 to 80% of kids with autism have mitochondrial dysfunction. Let me make it very clear to you. Parkinson's disease, diabetes, multiple sclerosis, I already mentioned cancer, cardiovascular disease, they are all directly linked to mitochondrial dysfunction, amongst other diseases. Dr. Brimhall, I think you have something to say about autism.
Yeah, so I've been at, I don't know, last week I think I did 3 meetings. I can't remember now, it's kind of blurry. But I'm gonna read something to you guys. Could literally I just got this today when I finished up work, and I read it, and it just reminds me as to why we do what we do. Because I was at a meeting last week, and there's this young boy there that where is that at? This young boy that was there, and here it is. Okay, this young boy, I go to this meeting, and this kid, you can tell he's autistic, and I just met him. So this same lady I tell you that had this great results with the neurological stuff, she invited this lady to look at it. She invited this other boy, and I watched this young boy, and he was doing things his dad and mom said he hasn't done in 22 years. So he was introducing himself, right? Telling him my name is Roy. What's your name? And this is stuff he has never done. So I got this from her today, and he's only been on the product a couple of weeks. I'm not saying that's going to happen with everybody, but this is about unlocking that genetic potential. So here's what she goes. She voice texted us, so it might be a little funny. So I got off the phone with Matthew, his son Roy, who was at the meeting Tuesday night. He said that Roy, for the first time, has answered questions differently. For example, he would say, Roy, what would you want for dinner? And he'd say, like, oven, when he wanted lasagna. Well, he goes, Roy said the word lasagna the first time ever, where he asked for what he wanted. He said Roy never cleans. He says he never helped the cleaning, and he usually breaks something. And said his dad says he bought a brand new vacuum cleaner. His dad did, and Roy had got the vacuum cleaner and turned it on, pulled the cord out so he could actually vacuum, and was cleaning up. Right? I know for a lot of us that seems super small, but what that means for a kid to recognize what he wants after 22 years of not doing it, right, and then be able to say it or be able to recognize there's a vacuum cleaner, I made a mess, and open it and clean it up. I wish my kids would do that sometimes, right? But what we're doing, we're unlocking. So I've always wondered with, especially autism, but how much is it are they not getting? Like how much is not getting in, or how much are they not able to integrate and get back out? This little boy, after 22 years of what he thought his life was, it's going to be different because of NRF1, NRF2 activation combined with the ProBio, the fish oil, and the Axio. Is his potential, and I told the dad, like, I don't know what his long-term potential is, but I know it's more than we currently thought it was. That was just today. And somebody else I met just a couple weeks ago, very similar story. A little boy I just met with. His life will be different because he now has an option of activating NRF1, NRF2, and we know these people struggle with that. But now we have a solution for them. So as I love this, Sveta, you've been like, I'm going to use the word hounding, but you've been very diligent in keep asking me because I wanted to do this with you. And I love that you have the tenacity because this is what it's about, is that it gives us as physicians, as individuals, to touch a life that we wouldn't have otherwise ever seen in our practices. And we have the potential with 100 people on this call. We maxed the calls out here tonight of people on this that are hopefully going to take these same stories. Think of different people that they have the potential to maybe touch, and at least give them the information and then let them choose things that they can do to enhance what they thought their potential was. And this is happening not only for those that struggle with like really locked brains like autism, but every single one of us, right, can do and become more, because now we have the tools and we don't have to guess if it's working.
Yeah, this is amazing, you know, and while you were talking, I got a question in regards to chronic kidney disease, basically chronic renal failure. And funny enough, you know, the coincidence of circumstance, I just read a recent paper on NRF1 and mitochondrial activation in chronic renal disease. Absolutely, there is an absolutely direct correlation. You know, and we can try to do anything in our power, again, to turn on the cellular cleansers, vacuum cleaners, and upregulate their mitochondria to keep the kidneys going, to keep the kidneys filtration and stuff. Mm-hmm. This is incredible. You know, guys, I'm going in 3 weeks or so, I'm going to Madrid to the second in the world NRF2 Congress. And one of the topics is NRF2 activation and kidney disease, and they're going to be launching the new drug. I'm sure Dr. Brimhall can agree with me that drugs have side effects. So this is what we're preaching. Nobody is teaching that these are magic bullets or panacea. So this is a supplementation. Supplementation is not substitution. You've got to eat right and you need to supplement, because the complementation of bringing the proper blocks, nutrient blocks into the cells and turning on the cellular mechanisms, the cellular defense apparatus, the immune system and whatnot, that's what it's all about. And now, as you see here, why, you know, we're teaching antioxidation and stuff. Of course, eat your antioxidants. But you need to turn your cells to make your own antioxidants. Look at the capacity. Look at the difference. 1-to-1 or one antioxidant that we make is going to eradicate over 1 million free radicals per second, every second. But you need to understand another thing is, every time you eat your veg, you eat your fruit with your direct antioxidation, your vitamin C, after killing the free radical, turns into a free radical itself. So in order to bring it back, you need our own antioxidants to recover it, to recuperate it. That is why we need the tremendous togetherness of good food, good lifestyle, exercise, and proper supplementation. Now, let me get to a third part, which I absolutely believe is absolutely critically essential in this three. It's a probiotic, microgut health. It's an NRF2 activation, and it's a mitochondrial boosting. Now, microgut health. Why our gut is so critically important? Because not only over 70% of our immunity resides in our bowel, but over 70% of our serotonin, or our happy hormone / neurotransmitter, is produced or synthesized in our gut. Now, I honestly believe that everyone needs to supplement with probiotics, but there's tons of probiotics on the market, and I would really like Brett to talk about why ours is so different, because he is exposed as a chiropractor. I'm sure everyone wants him to represent their product. But before that, let me just tell you one thing about microgut. Why NRF2 activation is so critical to microgut? Because free radical damage or oxidative stress kills our healthy gut bacteria and also kills dysfunctions our gut lining, basically creating the holes in our gut, leading to what is called leaky gut, or creating chronic inflammation. Now, with this said, if we do the good gut, the good microgut, the good probiotics that we make upregulates our mitochondria. It turns on our good mitochondria. However, the bad mitochondria, dysfunctional mitochondria, actually dysfunctions or harms our good gut bacteria. So, you know, those three, they go so together. So, Brad, can you please tell us why ProBio, our ProBio, is so distinct, is so different from other probiotics?
No, absolutely. I remember when Carrie gave me this sheet on the probiotic, I was kind of a little nervous because I've been about several different companies where probiotics were a major thing we talked about with people. You know, we call it correct the 4 R's, which one is remove, replace, and re-inoculate the good bacteria. And like, I remember reading that and I'm like, okay, it's just going to be different. So let me tell you from my wife's perspective, this probiotic, the ProBio, is her favorite product ever that I've ever put her on because it's helped her normalize that digestive function better than anything else she's taken. So I don't know what more you need than that for me, as of how different and she's been on probiotic. We've been married almost 22 years, different probiotics. So this is different, and really because of the technology behind it, of what it actually does. So this is how I explain it. How many of you love when you got your first paycheck and you realize, holy crap, there's a lot of stuff taken out of my paycheck, like tax-wise and everything else, right? Nobody liked that. I remember my first one, like, oh my gosh, guys, this probiotic, you get everything that you should get where you should get it. Like, I like money to go in my bank account, like where it's supposed to go. So this probiotic is 15 times more effective on average because it's got the technology to get where it needs to get and actually put the good guys where they belong. So then it can do the job it's meant to do. That is huge. Like, and there's no other probiotic out there on the market that I know of, which is why we've seen results with this that I haven't seen with other probiotics, even with super high doses, because if you can get it where it needs to get, we don't have to mass quantity it. But on top of that, just even the price point where you have the beta-glucan, the Wellmune in there, super unique, super unique. I used to have to use 2 products to do what this was to do what this does better, and it was way more expensive, right? So to have that technology, it's allowed us to help things and people in ways that I wasn't, because they're 15 times more effective, because it gets where it should.
So that's what you're talking about, beta-glucan or Wellmune. This is interesting. What also separates ours from everybody else's, that our probiotic has this guy, Wellmune, which is not only an immune system boost, but it also prebiotic, because probiotic, our bugs, they need to eat, and they don't thrive on Dunkin' Donuts, and they also don't thrive on Tim Hortons donuts. So they need to have a proper food. And Wellmune is so amazing. It's so multifunctional. It's great. So Dr. Brimhall, this is your go, Axio. That's what brought.
All right. So guys, this is getting me a little fired up. I might have to sit up for this. Okay. I think we're underutilizing Axio. Okay. Sveta, can I screen share just a second?
Oh, absolutely. Do you want me to get out?
I don't know. Let me see if I can just screen share and see if it'll let you come back and I can take mine off.
I'll stop. That's it.
I can't. You'll have to stop screen sharing in a second.
I did. I stopped.
Let me screen share just a second, guys. I have something I want to show you guys. So I'm kind of mean. I know this would shock you, but I'm in a meeting the other night. Okay. I'm in a meeting the other night, and this guy walks in, and he has, I know we're going a little long, but hopefully you guys are okay. He has a rock star. He had a rock star energy drink, and he's walking into a meeting, and he had that, and he had a big thirst buster, right? And I'm like, oh, this is perfect. I'm gonna use that, right? But what hit me in the middle of the meeting is I'm looking, okay, how do I help people get this? People are looking for energy, right? They're looking for energy and they don't know where to find it, right? So where do they go? Yeah, this is our role and our responsibility. They're gonna go to whatever is available in the marketplace. So that's sodas. Like, how many people have you heard said, oh, I gotta have my Diet Coke to survive the afternoon, right? Or I need my rock star. Guys, rock stars aren't cheap. Monsters aren't cheap. But look at this. This is the amount of money that's being spent, okay, for energy drinks. It's ridiculous. It's in the billions of dollars, okay? So let me show you one other thing. Blows my mind, okay? It's just crazy. Here's that slide I was going to show you guys. As I think about this, I'm like, are you kidding me? There's your sales of energy shots and energy drinks 2011 to 2015. Are you kidding me? Why? What that does, that tells me something. We're not helping people the way we could. So why do people go for an energy drink? They go for an energy drink because they feel mentally tired, right? Whether that's to wake up in the morning or to feel more focused at the end of the day. The end of the day is like, does my brain work like it's supposed to work so I can perform the job that I want to do? Whether that's be a good physician, whether that's, be a good mom, a good dad, whatever it is, they're using what they have. So what do they turn to? What they have, energy drinks, okay, sodas. That's it, right? Caffeine, chocolate, whatever it is. We have a solution that's not only better, but cheaper. Okay, so if we look down to it, people are most loyal to their dollar bill. Okay, I know none of you guys would be like that, right? But we are. So what if we gave them a solution, unless they found value? If we find value, then you're willing to spend the money. But we not only have a solution that's better, but we have a solution that's actually cheaper. Okay, so that's Axio. Okay, and I want you to think about this concept, synergy. When you look at every product that LifeVantage creates, it's tied into synergy and it's tied into technology. And no other nutritional company that I know of at this point is looking at that from the standpoint of activating genetics. All right, so when Axio was made, it was made to address mental fatigue. Okay, people all the time, they come to a physician because they have pain or they're tired. But we've been addressing it from the standpoint of body fatigue, not mental fatigue. So Axio was made with the synergistic effect blend of those nutrients to address mental fatigue. I remember reading that for the first time in the grades, okay, that's interesting. They're putting like a L-theanine in it. Like what? I'm like, oh, but that calms people down. That helps them focus. It helps them with cravings. I'm like, oh, that's kind of fascinating. We're going to combine that with the green tea and the DMAE that has a potential effect to actually be, arousing. So you look at what they did. They put it together in such a way where they got a sustained energy up with a sustained function, right? With this sustained action. So what that means is when you're tired and you take an Axio, your brain performs better. End of the day. So whether that's you're doing something as a mom, a dad, business owner, what it is, you can focus and you can be in the zone and you can get things done, right? Isn't that what we all want? So keep it simple when we're explaining it to people. Because check this out. What do people have as options for their kids when it comes to a drink for sports? They've got Gatorade or whatever, a Sunkist or whatever, and that's accepted. So we need to stand up and say, look, guys, what if I had something that was better? Not only better for you, but it allowed you to perform better. Like this one guy he gave to his kid got his first triple of his life. Guess what the little kid said? Dad, can I have one before every game? Now, is that possible? If the brain performs better, is it possible the person to hit the ball better? Of course it is, because if they're more focused, they're going to hit the ball where they should. So who do you know that wants to do better at what they currently do? And they're already spending money there doing different things. So last concept when it comes to Axio and all this, for me, I'll talk on a stack. I think it's beautiful that they use the word stack because I love the analogy. So a stack is you're going to arrange the cards, right, to be at your advantage. So I love basketball. So if you watch the last few Olympics, who plays on those things? Are those teams fair? Not even close, right? I mean, you've got some of these guys playing the game that are the best in the world, but they're playing on one team. So my question is, are we giving everybody the option to stack the odds in their favor? Like, are we giving them that option? And I don't know of an easier way, a more economical way to stack the odds in people's favor. Now, we have to do a good job of explaining that to people because it is kind of unique. This whole nutrigenomics and biohacking, it's different, but it will catch on, right? People are looking for that. We need to help explain that because we have the solid science. I mean, you got somebody like Sveta, Dr. Sveta talking about biohacking. She's a surgical pathologist, for heaven's sakes, right? Putting her name behind a network marketing company for 2 reasons. Her science is unbelievable, right? And the results she's seen are unbelievable, but she's able to touch lives in ways that she wasn't before. That's me as well. That's every single one of us. There's this ripple effect we're going to have as people embrace the technology that we have and the science that we have. We just have to tell the story in a way in which they'll hear it. And so we got to stack the odds in your favor in order to handle the world environment you have. And if you look at those ingredients, we talk about Nerf 1, right? Energy production. Nerf 2, clean up the crew. You have Axio, you got ProBio, you got the Omega Plus. Guys, that is the easiest stack I can imagine. Somebody said, well, that's expensive. If you look at what people are spending a month for their energy fixes, it's unbelievable. Whether we're talking about Starbucks or whether we're talking about energy drinks or whatever it might be, on top of that, what they're spending, in their insurance premiums, on top of their copays to see a doctor they don't even want to see, right? To working out or paying for a membership they never use, right? So we have an answer and a solution to a lot of those problems. We just need to give them that option. So anyway, Sveta, that's one I kind of want to end on that. There's some questions people have.
Well, the only thing is you mentioned omegas. What does that mean?
Okay, so here's how I explain omegas, guys, is that the omegas, every single person on the planet needs them, because I've never had a blood work test come back so that ever on somebody to have optimal fatty acid ranges other than somebody's been on fish oils for over a year consistently, never, right? And that's after hundreds of tests. So what that tells me is we're deficient as a culture in omega-3 fatty acids.
Of course.
So, and if we don't have them, we don't make hormones, we don't make good brain, and every cell wall in every single cell is having issues. So if you don't mind not having windows and doors on your house of your body's cells, then don't take omegas. Because if you don't have windows and doors in your house, things get in there it's not supposed to get in, things get out they're not supposed to get out. So the omegas are so simple, and to me, it's such an inexpensive way with the Omega Plus to get good oils in a sustainable force that actually you can have people chew because they taste good and they're clean.
Well, our brain cells cannot function without the proper omega-3, 6s, and now I teach 7s and I teach 9s. Every omega is important, but the concentration, the gradient, that is what's important. And another thing about omegas is they are what is called polyunsaturated, meaning that, they kind of not complete, and meaning that they're very unstable. So every time you eat your fish oil or you take a bottle of flaxseed oil and you open the bottle and you smell it, it means that it's rancid. So what we have is absolutely amazing. That's what I'm saying. Please eat your wild salmon, eat your hemp seeds, eat your flax seeds, eat your chia seeds. I know, Michael, zero smell. I agree.
Someone just texted or message. You mean you can chew them? Yeah, you can chew them.
You can chew them, absolutely.
I did it because I've had fish oil. Stuff my dad used to feed me. Oh, so nasty, right? But it's good for me, right? But here's a fish oil you can literally have a kid chew, and it's fine.
Yeah. So Dr. Brimhall, first of all, thank you so much. So let's get to some questions. So guys, if you wish, you can type the questions.
Yeah, because I think I'd talk all night. You and me, we could have way too much fun.
Oh yeah, it's too much fun. Can you back to the kidney disease? We already covered that. We can do relate to autism story. We are seeing very small but big things with our neural Lyme daughter. Thank you very much, Jean. Unbelievable. Many of Lyme disease have co-infections with parasites. Is that true, Dr. Brimhall?
Yeah, so here's an interesting thing, and you see it a lot. There's a lot of talk about co-infections. So, what I've learned is when the body is depressed, right, it physically, all sorts of things can live there. And the analogy I give all the people all the time, like when there's trash in the house, then flies come. And the flies don't care. Flies, ants, stink bugs, cockroaches, right? So co-infection means when the body is susceptible, other infections can come in there. So yes, there is a reality to that. So what I love about the idea of Vitality Stack is we're not chasing infection, which you see a lot in Lyme treatment. They're constantly trying to kill this or that. If the environment is such that the bugs can live there, they're going to live there. So when you're looking at what we have, if we can turn on Nerf 2, turn on Nerf 1, get the system working better, both the repair and the cleanup, and then we can heal the gut at the same process where the immune system lives, and then you can turn those other systems on. Well, now you're changing the environment so the infections can't live there.
Well, this is entirely the same thing with cancer cells.
Yeah.
If you change the environment of that cancer cell, it's not going to survive.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that I do love about LifeVantage from a business perspective. We have a lot of things that tear us down as a world. In LifeVantage, I've enjoyed the people because it's created an environment where we can thrive together.
That's right. Now, renal transplants, there is one for now, there is one contraindication for NRF2 per tandem is a transplantation because we don't know. We simply do not have the science and the evidence. So we're just playing very safe.
So that question there, Sveta, on the 14-year-old and ADHD?
I'm not seeing. Okay, you go ahead.
So there's a question I saw flash out. Is it safe for kids, ADHD? So here's something I tell people all the time. What is the medications that we typically are seeing given to our kids with ADHD, autism, whatever else? Okay, it's Concerta, it's Vyvanse, it's these medications, they're stimulant medications.
Amphetamines?
What's that?
Amphetamines?
Amphetamines, right? So here's how I look at it. Would you feel safer giving your kid Nerf 2 with ashwagandha, bacopa, milk thistle, green tea, and a little bit of Axio, or would you feel safer giving amphetamine? So for me, and here's what's clicked in my mind, when Luke had that massive change, Carrie's son, guys, and at first I'm like, why would you give a hyper 5-year-old an energy drink, right? Well, because what do we give kids that struggle mentally? We give them amphetamine, which is the stimulant. So now we're giving something where the brain has what it needs that protects the brain, nurture activation for brain, and the other things allow the brain to function as it should. And the effects are absolutely cumulative, not only from the Axio itself, and I didn't touch on it, but every product we have is designed on synergy of the product. But the stacks are designed to create a synergy as well. When you build a house, you got to have all those guys working together in order for the
you got a togetherness.
That is that stack, and I can't tell you how simple it was. So even so that I love it, you can hold all 4 in your hands, guys. I literally, when I would work with people in the past, they would have between sometimes up to 10 to 20 supplements they were taking at a time.
And the interesting thing about ADHD is oxidative stress related. End of story.
Yep.
And, ADD, ADHD, they get their Ritalin. However, in 1959, there was a study that showed that DMAE, one of the ingredients in Axio, works better than Ritalin.
Yeah, and it's cool. So I love that we can have an option for people and parents that are looking for other solutions for their kids. But I'll tell you this, the effects are cumulative. We know with medication over time, right, the effect of the medication tends to get less and less because it burns out receptors and other things. Whereas with this, the effects are cumulative when we're building neuronal pathways and neurosynapses, so the effects are cumulative and the changes are actually, in my mind, more permanent.
Synapses, self-fluidity, omegas.
I'm going to start calling you Vanna Sveta.
What's that?
I'm going to call you Vanna, like Vanna White, but Vanna Sveta.
That's right, exactly. Mm-hmm. So anyway, we don't treat, cure, mitigate diseases. Absolutely, yes, for arthritis, any kind. Can you take NRF1 and NRF2 at the same time? Yes. Are there any side effects to NRF1, Dr. Brimhall?
Are there side effects to anything? Yes. But in medication, they call them effects and side effects. The side effects are the ones you don't want, right? But the nice thing about natural products, there are some people that might have a reaction to a particular ingredient, and that is possible. It's very, very, very small. And so is it possible? Yes. Is it unusual? Yes.
The best side effect of both NRF1 and NRF2 is the detoxification or cleansing or healing crisis.
And, and I liken that a lot of times. I don't know of anybody that doesn't, if somebody haven't exercised for a long time and you start exercising, we feel immediately better, right? No, we feel miserable, right? So when you start exercising, you're going to probably have some miserableness there. So if your body's super dirty, guys, it's like cleaning out your closet. It doesn't look so good at first when you clean everything out, but give it time, let your body clean up, get rid of the junk, and let people know it might happen. I always say this can happen, doesn't mean it will, because you might feel really yucky at first, you might feel really good, but just know it's going to be better in the long run.
I have a 14-year-old son with ADHD and high-functioning autism. Are they safe for that age, and what about interactions with the other supplements?
Yeah, they're safe. And again, every individual is individual, right? So, obviously, as a general rule, they're safe, especially with what's in them. And, if there may be some nuances there, but it's not, I don't think I've ever, there's one lady I've known that had a reaction to ashwagandha, and I knew she did before. I actually saw if she could take it, and she couldn't. That's the only one that I've ever had that actually had a truer reaction to
sensitivity.
Yeah.
Can you discuss how the ingredients were selected in the first place? Magic, basically magic. It's a long story. They started with 40 botanicals, and they just, by empirically mixing and matching, they just hit eureka. It's a genius thing.
Just from a side note, so my dad and I, when I watched him formulate products, he'd been in the chiropractic field for almost 40 plus years now. And we'd formulate, he would take all these different products he studied and articles he would read, and he'd start combining things, right? But we were combining things based on science and then test it through lab chemistries and through other type of energetic testing we would do and try to find the combination that would work together. Well, Dr. McCord in his laboratory, right, those guys, they had the ability to test the result of the recipe. It's like the taste testing. But they weren't just trying to make it taste better. They were trying to get activation of a specific protein.
Synergy.
That is so big. And there's nobody doing that because they number one, haven't learned how yet, and they don't have the capability. So we have the opportunity to be part of something that nobody else is doing. That's why we're seeing changes in individuals, in my mind, that I wasn't before. Even though I was giving them good stuff, we were turning the key, and we were getting part of the key turned, but not the whole key.
We're going over time, but there are so many questions. How long will it take? How long will it take if you have MS for 23 years? Can you really start working it down? Guys, again, it doesn't treat, cure, mitigate disease. Does it help with MS? I think you should probably go on YouTube and see the testimonials. And I'm sure Dr. Brimhall just told you the story of an MS patient, of a MS mother.
So here's what I would say to anybody. It absolutely won't do any good if you don't put it into you, right? And what we do know is you are where you currently are based on what you've been currently doing. So if you're not happy with what you currently have, I would make some changes. But we have to know, if I exercise for 1 week, and I've done this before, I'm going to exercise a week. That didn't work for me, dang it, right? Because the effects are cumulative, but I do know that what I've seen happen, we know we're actually Nerf 2, Nerf 1, doing the ProBio, we know we can have effect long-term. And so I don't know of anything different or better that I could do, no matter what condition you have, to slow down the aging process, improve mitochondrial function. And it doesn't matter who or what you have, you're going to age more gracefully than you currently are. But with something you're trying to get, so your body will change what it has to first. So maybe your symptom of numbness in your feet is what you'd love to see change first. That may be the last thing your body cares about. It doesn't mean it's not working. So know that it's working, but I've seen it do things the longer you've been on it. But the same thing with exercise.
Absolutely. Especially with MS, you need to get on clean diet. You need to do the tox screen. You need to eliminate every possible toxicity, and you need to get on a proper supplementation. A lot of work to be done.
And get away from toxic people. Can I throw that out?
And happiness.
Yes, that's so key.
Do you have any experience with lipodermatosclerosis?
Whoa, I can't even spell that.
I know.
Sclerosis?
Lipodermatosclerosis. Basically, is it like a scleroderma type thing? I don't know. If it's a scleroderma type thing, I have no problem, putting anyone on NRF2 Protandim, and definitely on Probio, and definitely on Mitochondrial Boost. But as I said, my preaching is the same all the time. It's a diet, it's a happiness, and it's a proper supplementation.
There's something my dad and I used to say. So we train physicians on what we call the 6 steps to wellness, and people would ask, "Well, what help this? What help this? What help that?" And the answer is, what do you do for scleroderma? What do you do with lupus? What do you do with MS? And we would always say the 6 steps to wellness. And to me, that's what would you do with anything? I would do the Vitality Stack with Axio.
Correct.
Right? And then get people into positions. If it's an emotional problem, they need to find some help with that. If they're around toxic people, you got to figure that out. If they're in a toxic environment, when it comes to biochemical, like environmental exposure to toxins, we got to get into that. So, but simple things you can do with the Vitality Stack and Axio, you're affecting those systems, and it's really any human or mammal could benefit.
Absolutely. Okay, guys, on this note, I'm going to stop recording.